Welcome to another MakerCut video. Today we're going to talk about repeatability with Autolaser by using a jig and template. First, click the subscribe button and the bell to get notified when new videos are available. To create templates, knowing the kerf or cut width of your laser is helpful, so when you insert the substrate that you are using, it will fit into the template without being too loose or too tight. I typically use acrylic for our templates due to the added rigidity, and it typically doesn't warp like wood can. One sheet of acrylic the size of our laser bed can hold many different shapes, but I do try it and group them in types. This template is for a floating plaque. Now looking at Autolaser, this template is for a floating plaque award that has a beveled edge, but we'll get into that later. You can see the different shapes we have on here. The outside box is what we call bounding box. This is our reference geometry for the laser. Without the bounding box, Autolaser would get a bit confused as to where to set the laser head and the start point. With the bounding box, we can set the laser head in the top left corner at the limits and know that we are starting from the same position every time, since it's a hardware limit. I recently watched a video on YouTube and they were trying to cut, remove the item, mask it, paint it, then engrave it, unmask it. The end result, the results were okay, but they could have been better if they had created a template and jig first and then affixed it in the laser some way. Since they didn't do that, it was off a little bit, but really, in the end, they corrected the errors, and it looked great when it was done. Back to our template. Now I can create shapes, in this case boxes, that are where our substrate will be placed after the jig is cut. Notice that I leave about 10 millimeters between the edge and each cut in the jig. I do this for two reasons. First, this is to keep the acrylic from warping during the initial cut. Since I'm using 6 millimeter acrylic, it takes a little bit of heat to do clean cuts and relatively slow. This width helps keep it from warping. Second, it's to add rigidity to the jig during storage. This is important because you don't want your jigs breaking. It just isn't good. So I have 4 shapes on this template. You can see the 4 boxes, not including the bounding box. So it's 2 sets of boxes, one with inside the other. The inset boxes, which are these red boxes. Let's click on the red box. The inset boxes, the red boxes, are the safe area for the floating plaque face. Since the edges of the floating plaque are beveled, I don't want to engrave anything in the beveled area since we're engraving from the back. What I don't have shown here are the small 4 millimeter magnets at each corner. I use guidelines to mark those during the design work and setup in Corel Draw. What we do want to focus on is the black boxes. The reason we want to focus on the black boxes is because these are the boxes that we're actually going to cut out that create our template or our jig. So you can see over here we have these set to cut. The speed and the power is not correct since this was used for something else in between. So for 6 millimeter, I'm actually going to set this up to about 15. And 60%. Now, one of the things about this min light and max light, this is an update that happened, I believe, in 2.3.5. So there used to be a compensation for corners, and min light is for corner, max light is for straight cuts. So you can actually drop this down. You can drop it down to 50% for the corners, and you should be fine. Now you notice that these other 2 are forbidden. So the reason they're forbidden is because I have neither carve nor cut selected for these 2 layers. That doesn't mean it won't try and trace them out, but the laser won't be active during this time. The other thing you notice is that I also have these letters down here. This is actually the floating plaque part number. I just put this in reference so that I know exactly which part these are for. So now we can go over to the laser, cut this out. So here we can see that the template is in the laser, the head's aligned in the proper place, and this is what allows us to give the repeatability. Because no matter what happens, we can also always put it back in the same place. For example, now this is just a piece that I had cut out that originally, and here's the other piece. Let's put it back in the way it was. You see it fits down in there nicely. Now, I have to say that those pieces that I'm putting back in are not the actual sizes of the substrate that I put into these templates, which is why they're such a snug fit. But that was the whole purpose, was that because this one's a little tight to get out. Because they're so tight, because I know exactly how big the kerf is, that's how I get the repeatability. Because knowing what the kerf is allows you to give the tight fit to where the item doesn't move around a lot. You don't get a lot of slop. And just for reference, this is the piece that, if you can see it, that I was practicing on. And I'll show you a still of the actual final product. But that also covers dithering as well, because it is a line drawing. Well, we hope this video has helped you with your repeatability on your laser machine. We'd like to thank you for watching the Maker Cut videos. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so that you get notified when we produce new videos. And have a wonderful day.